Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this session of the Past Professionals. This series is sponsored by our partnership with the San Gorgonio Pass Water Agency. My name is Shari, and I work for the Inland Empire Resource Conservation District. So today, our past professional that we're going to talk with is Madeline Blua. And so we're just going to jump right in. And Madeline, thank you very much for being here. We're just going to have a couple of questions for you. And the first question that I have is if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your position and maybe the path that you took to get where you're at, and maybe something about your most favorite thing that you like about your job.
Hi, my name is Madeline Blua. I'm the Water Resource Specialist at Yucaipa Valley Water District, and I've been here a little less than 2 years, so I'm still relatively new to the water world. But I started my education at Riverside Community College, and I would recommend starting at a community college because just the financial reasons, and also I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So starting there allowed me to take several different courses and sort of find what I really liked. And I decided there that I really loved science. So I transferred to University of Redlands, where I got my bachelor's in environmental and Bernardino in environmental science. And that's when I really decided to go for water. And I really love my job here. I get to do a lot of different things. I do public outreach, so I get to educate students and the community on recycled water. Is one of our big topics now. I get to go out into the field and measure water quality in the creek. And then also a lot of other projects like monitoring wells. Groundwater is really important for us to look at here in Yucaipa Valley. So just a variety of tasks, and I like that. Every day is a little bit different.
So Madeline, what do you do there at Yucaipa Valley Water District? You did touch on it. Maybe you can expand on a little bit and tell us, how does this relate to water?
My title is, I think, intentionally generalized because I do a lot. And here, I think one of the biggest things that we do now is recycled water. So we're lucky enough to have the first dual plumbed community. That means these homes have recycled water for their irrigation front and backyards and potable water for their drinking water needs. And this is really a great way to save water resources in the region because, as you know, Southern California is a very dry place, and recycled water allows us to get more out of our resources. So we educate homeowners on how to use the recycled water and how recycled water is produced. And for those of you that don't know, recycled water is a very clean water resource that is produced from wastewater. So it's highly regulated and very safe to use, and we take advantage of that in the fullest. We also here, groundwater is very important, so we're always looking at how our water levels in the ground are. So we keep monitoring equipment in wells so that we can measure how high the water table is. And that allows us to gauge how much water we can pump from the ground. We have almost 20 different wells that we regularly produce water from. And this water is very clean water because the natural percolation process that water goes through as it soaks into the ground purifies it to a really good degree. And then so we pump it from the ground and serve it to the community. And then lastly, here at Yucaipa Valley, we also do wastewater services. So we take sewer wastewater and process it at our plants, and we have to discharge the very clean water into the creek. All wastewater plants discharge into some water body. And so we are out there every week making sure that that's a very good water quality and that any plants or animals are not going to be negatively impacted.
Wow. Well, that's something. That's a lot of stuff. So Madeline, did you ever think that you would be working in this field of water? Was it something you set out to do?
saw myself doing something involved in science, but I thought that I'd be more involved in biology, kind of like native plants and animals. And so when I went to get my master's degree, that was my focus for my thesis project. And then I took this groundwater hydrology class, and I'd have to say I begrudgingly took it. It was a requirement. I didn't think I'd like it. And then I ended up finding out it was actually really interesting how groundwater moves right underneath our feet. It's there, and how we use that as a resource, and just being able to measure where it's coming from and the groundwater elevations. It's all just very fascinating. And I knew this was a good career choice because no matter where you are in the world, water is going to be an issue. Whether it is not having enough water, whether it is flooding or water quality issues. So if you go into the water industry, you can find a job anywhere, and it's job security for sure.
Well, we all need that job security. That's always good. So we work a lot with kids. We have our education programs at the IERCD, as you do with working with kids. So is there any tips or anything that you would like to tell kids about how they can save water?
Yeah, there's so many ways that you can save water. And so as a student, you don't even necessarily need to purchase anything. Some of the things you can do is really simple, like turning off the faucet when you're brushing your teeth, taking shorter showers. You can even make a game of it, timers, things like that. And just being overall conscientious of what you purchase. Water is a global issue. It's not just a local issue. So the things you buy, the things you consume, it all takes water to produce. So it goes back to the reduce, reuse, recycle. If you think of those things, you're going to save water. Even if it's not locally, on a global scale, you're going to help out.
Okay, those are some great tips. So thank you for the tips for students. But now, do you have any tips for adults, homeowners, maybe some things that they can do to save water?
One of the biggest water uses here in Southern California is outdoor water use. And while we're able to recycle the water that goes through our sewage system and comes to our wastewater plant, we can't really recycle the water that you use outdoors because that's not coming back to us. So I would recommend kind of focusing attention there. One of the biggest, most cost-effective savings for outdoor water use is changing your sprinkler heads to rotary sprinklers. You're going to use a lot less water if you want to keep a lawn, so that's a great way to go. But if you want to go even further with lessening your impact, you could switch your lawns to a drought-tolerant landscape. And I think they're really beautiful. A lot of people don't hang out on their front lawns. You're not playing cornhole on your front lawn. So why not make that a beautiful natural garden that attracts birds and butterflies and uses very little water?
Oh, great. I love those natural landscapes. Do you have any advice for young ones just starting off their career path and maybe guiding them into a career of water, maybe something that they had never considered before?
Yeah, going through the whole process, I know it can be daunting if you're going from high school to college or high school to a trade. It is a little scary to make that leap. But one of the things I'd recommend is if you are going to college, that's not enough to put on your resume. It's helpful, but I really would recommend asking your professors, like, what kind of projects they're working on, what can you get involved in? So you're getting experience doing internships or volunteer work, and then you're also getting a really good opportunity to network. So that's one of the things I did that I found really valuable. I went out there to conferences, I volunteered to do projects, and so I came into contact with a lot of people, and hearing their experiences too helped me decide exactly which way I wanted to go with my career.
That's really good advice. Thank you, Madeline. So I have one last question for you. So do you have any connection with our sponsor, who is the San Gorgonio Pass Water Agency, or the Inland Empire Resource Conservation District, or even just the pass in general?
I'm very familiar with both organizations. So I've worked with the IERCD during internships while I was still a student, and that's how I first became aware of them. And through my career, I've kept a relationship with them. We've worked together. I know they work with our wholesalers. So we're in a unique situation. We have two wholesalers, and San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District is one, and then the other is San Gorgonio Pass Water Agency. And so we're very involved in what goes on at both. And I attend the past agency meetings regularly because it's really important the decisions they make affect us. And we want to be involved and working with a close working relationship with them. So yeah, familiar with both.
That's fantastic. And I want to thank you, Madeline Blua, for visiting up with us today. We got a lot of information, and I think a lot of young ones that might view this series can't help to be inspired. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
So, and anybody else would like to know a little bit more about this series, you can log on to our website at iercd.org and check us out. So thank you very much again for joining us today, and you all have a great day. Bye-bye.